Hey, and welcome to Vita versus 3DS. In this episode, we are going to compare the augmented reality of both the systems. Um, as you can see, we're starting with 3DS here. Um, each system has three basic games, very simple basic games, which is going to make them easy to compare. For 3DS, it comes with 6 AR cards, as you can see here. Only one of them is used for the games, this one. The other ones are used for, some sort of, you can make like a Link toy or a Samus 3D statue or something like that, but outside of that, they're not used very much. There are 13 AR applications in total for the 3DS, but only 3 of them, there's only 3 basic games with, each 3 game has an unlockable advanced version of it, but for all intents and purposes there are only 3 games. Just before we start shooting, just a technical thing, the camera on the 3DS appears to shoot at 30 frames per second, which is just fine for any augmented reality that I've seen. I haven't really run into many problems with regards to that, but yeah, so now on to the games. Alright, so the first 3DS game we're looking at is called Fishing. Fishing for the 3DS revolves around sitting in one spot and letting random fish bite at your bait. When they do, you simply flick the 3DS upwards towards yourself, as I just did, and more points are awarded for the bigger fish that you catch. After catching a certain number of fish, a dragon appears, and you have to drop bombs on it with your lure in order to kill it. The advanced version of this game is just a free form version where you can fish as long as you want. Overall, this is a very simple and very boring game which doesn't really gain anything from being an AR game. You don't use the 3D space. There's really no depth to it. There's not even a lot of fun. You just sit there and flick your 3DS whenever you get a little bite. And even the boss battle's pretty boring. Overall, I'd say this is a definite pass. Archery for 3DS revolves around using motion controls to aim at the bullseyes placed around the AR card. While this game sounds simple, and it is, it uses 3D space very well. For example, you need to move around a bit to hit some of the targets from different angles. After a few stages, you'll face off against the same dragon again, which will have you killing it by shooting it several times at different parts of the body, which will require you to aim at it from different angles and use the 3D space around, which is actually pretty cool. The advanced version of this game adds more complex and difficult targets to hit. Overall, it's a solid AR title and a lot more fun than fishing. So just to show you, targets you can hit just by moving around and tapping the A button, like that. But what I mean by it uses the 3D space is that, see down there, this is a hole created by my AR card, and there is a target down there which you're not going to be able to see since I have to move my 3DS higher to get it, but I'm just going to shoot it anyway up here. So anyway, as you can see, it's much more deep and more rewarding than fishing, which literally you don't do anything aside from flick the 3DS up. Anyway, it is a very solid title overall and much better than fishing. AR Shot for 3DS is a pool type game which uses motion controls to aim the cue and hit the balls into the holes. Various obstacles are placed in the way, which require you to use 3D space and walk around to get that perfect shot. After a few holes, the same dragon will appear, which you have to defeat, and you guessed it, by knocking bombs into him with your cue. The advanced version of the game offers more difficult holes, which use 3D space even more. Again, like Archery, this is a very solid title, and it uses, like Archery, uses the 3D space very well and shows off what AR can really do. While the augmented reality camera on the 3DS only tracks at 30 frames per second, requires a lot of light, and loses track of the cards quite easily, Archery and AR Shot show the potential of what AR games can be like on the system. Extra augmented reality features such as graffiti, where you draw 3D models and taking live pics of your Mii are added bonuses, although they are quite pointless. However, the lack of new things keeping you coming back after finishing the games are major downsides. There are no leaderboard supports, there are no multiplayer, there's really not even many stages. But overall, it really shows the potential of what AR could be on 3DS, and I did have a lot of fun with Archery and AR Shot. We're now going to move on to the Vita section. So like the 3DS, the Vita has 6 AR cards which are all used for gaming. As of right now, there are 3 AR applications for Vita, and all 3 of them are games. The Vita's augmented reality camera appears to shoot at about 60 or 120 frames per second, something so fast that I can't really perceive it, but much faster than 30. And it's ultra silky smooth compared to the 3DS's 30 frames per second. And it really adds to the experience. It may not sound like a big deal, but really when you're moving around and you see that silky smooth movement go across, it really adds to the experience. So now on to the games. Fireworks for PlayStation Vita revolves around tapping the front touch panel at the right time to make the fireworks explode. More points are rewarded when you get it right at the right timing, like right when it shows you a little icon here and you tap it, and you get more points for those ones than if you don't tap it at the right time. Up to 3 cards can be used simultaneously for this, which each represent a little building here, which I am using 3 at the same time now, and this increases the difficulty, of course, because the fireworks coming from all 3 areas. Each miss you have costs you a little bit of, I guess I'll call it health here, and once you miss enough times, your game's over. It also supports online leaderboards, so you have a high score to go to and to go for, and you can compete on the leaderboards and stuff like that, which is fun for some people. Overall, it's a very weak title because it doesn't really use a 3D space. I mean, I can move around and hit it from different angles and stuff like that, but really, it's not. It doesn't add to the gameplay. It actually detracts from it because when you're looking around, you can miss one of the fireworks here. It doesn't really use AR to its strength. This could easily be a non-augmented reality game completely, and you wouldn't really miss anything from it at all. So overall, I'd say it's a definite pass. Cliff diving for Vita is a unique game which revolves around performing various acrobatic maneuvers with a series of button presses in order to dive successfully and earn more money, which unlocks courses and more dives and earns you more money. So basically, I'll show you how this works. You pick a dive here. Could try to do something easy. We'll do this one. It just requires a series of button presses or screen taps or such. Like this one requires me to touch the back touchpad and build his adrenaline before he dives. And then perform the dive, which I just press X, I let go, I press the button, and I dive in. It's very simple. It doesn't use a 3D space very well. Moving around and going to get a different view of the course or such, it doesn't really help, but it doesn't hinder the gameplay. It just helps you get a better view or whatever. The basic gameplay is fun, however, it doesn't benefit from being an AR game because of that. However, the custom dive mode lets you create your own diving board, not just pick one that's preset, which they have several preset ones. You could put one AR card on a lower surface and one on a higher surface, which will let you dive into the lower surface. So like say if you want him to dive from your desk into your dog dish, or something like that, you could do that, which is pretty neat, and it uses the AR a little better, but that's not the main mode. I don't even know if you can unlock anything with that. So overall it's fun, it's simple, there's quite a few unlockables to keep you coming back, but again, it doesn't use AR as well as the 3DS games did. Table soccer is by far the best implementation of augmented reality I've seen on either system, and is the best AR game I've ever played. It's basically a mix of soccer and a strategic turn-based game with a chess-like appearance. So I'm going to show you guys. This is the field all set up. Of course, you can see the AR cards on the screen, which you don't see in the gameplay. They take them away. Cards 1, 2, and 3 make the field. So stretching out a card or putting it back makes the field bigger or smaller here. Chess, the cards number 5 and 6 in the back are the bleachers. These are entirely optional. You don't have to use them at all if you don't want to. And number 6 over there is the scoreboard. Anyway, so that's just how the field's set up. So let's jump into the game. Play now. Alright, let's do it. So basically, gameplay is used entirely with the touchscreen. So you pass by flicking it to your guys. You kick by flicking towards the net. You lob by doing a little arcing movement like that on your guys as well. The strength of the flick determines where the ball's going to go. or and how hard it goes. So it depends on how hard you flick it. Curving could also be done by curving the ball as you want to curve it to one of your guys. You just curve your finger around like that. Um, 3D space isn't really used as a gameplay mechanic, but it is really neat. You can really zoom in really close to your players to get a better view of what's going on, or you can zoom out, to get a more better view of the field. This actually comes in handy during gameplay, although it isn't used as a core gameplay mechanic per se. Um, Rules like fouls and out of bounds and corner kicks are all in play, so I find that really cool. Um, the game's tough too. Like the AI is actually really really good. The modes it has a tournament mode which you play against the AI. It has an ad hoc mode which you can play against other players. Um, but my favorite mode is called the pass around mode, where you just basically have two people in the same room with each other and who are playing against each other by passing the Vita back and forth, which is really nice. It's really cool, and it gets the job done. It's my favorite mode. Um, I find it works flawlessly. It's a lot of fun. Out of the six games that we looked at today, I really much prefer this one to all of them. I actually would have paid money for this game, although it's hard for me to play at the same time and show you everything that's great about it. But really, it's a free game, and I really suggest everyone downloads this because it really shows what AR could do, and it's actually is a lot of fun. While the AR camera on the Vita tracks at a much higher frame rate than the 3DS, does better in low light situations, and loses connections to the cards less frequently, and has overall better technology, the 3DS games do make better use of 3D space as a whole. Um, Also, Archery and AR Shoot are better games than Fireworks and Cliff Diving. And this is especially noteworthy given Vita's technological advantages over the 3DS. Vita's saving grace, though, is, however, Table Soccer, which is the best AR game I've played to date. So, yeah, overall, you know, both systems have decent AR software. They help get the general feel of the potential of both devices. And they're free, which is awesome. If you don't like one, you didn't waste any money. It's fine. So now that you've heard it, it's up to you to decide which one you think would better serve your augmented reality needs. So like, dislike, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.